to say this, but the scary part isn't what just occurred. The scary part's what's still to come. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. From Ottawa, this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Oilers 4, Penguins 0. Get used to it. Since the second intermission in Calgary, the Penguins have now been outscored 27-7. They've now been outperformed in every capacity, every facet, almost every player, up to and including Sidney Crosby. Anybody who's been following my coverage, whether it's through this show or through the written word, will know I'm not exactly quick to criticize Sid. I don't know that I've ever respected an athlete / person / everything more than I do Sid. But he's part of this. And what's really worrisome is that he appears to be a willing part of this, if not outright leading it. This is really, really weird. And it's a really tough read, even for someone like me who's around them regularly, who's following them all over the continent, including here in Canada's capital, because it's unprecedented. When I'm in that locker room right now, I know that I can go to Lars Eller. I know that I can go to Marcus Pettersson. I know that I can go to Erik Karlsson, which pretty much makes it a sweep of Swedes to get what's really going on. But I also know that I can't go to any of the guys currently wearing a letter and experience that same feeling. And look, this part's no secret. They're mad. They're disappointed. They're disillusioned over the Jake Guentzel trade. And I get that. I appreciate that to an extent. The trade itself stunk. The trade itself was botched not at the point of attack, but going back to late last summer when Kyle Dubas made the bizarre decision that once the season started, he would not engage Ben Hankinson, Guentzel's agent, in extension talks. Not that they reached a point where they couldn't do anything or said, wow, that number's crazy. No, they just didn't have any talks over the entirety of the season. My source for this? Dubas himself said it in front of everybody at the press conference last week. And if you're in that locker room and you've committed, a decade and a half and change the way these three guys have, again, particularly Sid, and you've taken less to play in Pittsburgh, which all three of them have, but nobody more so than Sid, and you've committed everything, every fiber of your being to this franchise on a daily basis for more than half of your life, yeah, you're going to be upset. I don't like it. I don't like watching it. I'm sure you don't. I had a friend who went to the game yesterday, had really, really good seats too. She got up and left after the first period. Score was only 2-0. She saw what the home team was doing. She wanted no part of it. Just got up and left. True story. Longtime season ticket holder. Just said, that's enough. I've seen enough. And sure enough, she was right. Nothing happened over those final 2 periods to change her mind or to make her regret leaving, did they? I mean, I don't like the pouting. I don't like seeing it, certainly, on the rink. And I really, really don't like seeing it work its way through the lineup, because when you're a leader in both senses. If you go nuts, they're going to go nuts, for the most part. If you just go through the motions out there, so are they. What a strange situation. And I don't even... I feel comfortable in saying to you that I really don't like what's happening, and at the same time, I totally get it. I don't feel like I'm sharing any meaningful stance here with you. And I'm just trying to be honest. I'm trying to make some sense of it myself, just like you are. Maybe just like they are. Here's the one thing that I do know. This won't end well. There's not going to be some cathartic moment, certainly not here against the Senators, who always seem to have their number anyway, where they just say, you know what, we had a meeting today and we all decided that we're going to blah, blah, blah. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen a week from now. And it's not going to happen at any point over the remainder of this schedule. And what happens then? Can't do anything about those players. They've got no movement clauses. They're not going to waive those. They've all got pretty good lives here. They've all got legacies attached to this franchise. They're not going anywhere. You can fire the head coach. Every indication that I get from the people listening to this program and who read my stuff is that they'd be very much in favor of firing Mike Sullivan. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe that's the move that gets requested, and that's the way this would have to go from Kyle Dubas of Fenway Sports Group. And the reason I say that in this case is in addition to the fact that it's a significant move, it would also involve eating a ton of actual cash, not cap hits, actual money, dollar bills, lots and lots of them. And that also would be a request that would fly in the face of the FSG people's own view of Sullivan, at which point it would only be human nature on the part of Tom Werner and others in FSG to say, man, did we get the right GM here? I mean, did he not say that he thought this guy was awesome? We certainly thought he was awesome, and now he comes to us just a couple months later and wants us to eat tens of millions of dollars for him to go away. You see what I mean now? There's a whole lot of chaos ahead. There really is. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Grant, who asks, DK, since the Penguins held on to 25% of Jake Gensel's contract, do you think there's any chance of getting him back for next season? I don't like any of this, but there also wasn't a whole lot of hope of making the playoffs anyway. It's difficult to express how bummed I am, let alone how the team and how the rest of the fan base must feel. Maybe he returns on a bargain because he loved his team. Is there hope? Grant, you asked a couple of different questions there, and I'm going to first separate what you had at the top, which was about holding on to 25% of Jake's contract. That has no future implications. That's a matter of absorbing cap hit so that the Hurricanes could complete the trade in a way that, according to Kyle Dubas and the Penguins, would allow the Penguins to get the best possible return. That's why you do that. That has nothing to do with future implications. You don't hold on to, you use the word contract. You don't hold on to the contract. You're just taking on a cap hit. Okay. So set that off to the side. Second part. All right. I'm going to share this with you. Don't take it too seriously and don't take it as gospel. It is a possibility that Jake could come back, but I don't believe that he will. And my belief on that front is based on the team's stance rather than the player. And that's as of right now. Okay. Remember that these things can kind of morph over time. For example, let's say that Jake does win a Stanley Cup in Raleigh. Okay. Let's say that, he really loves everything about being with the Hurricanes and loves Rod Brind'Amour, and that he and his family have found a place that they like as much as the place that they liked here in Pittsburgh, and everything is just awesome. And let's say that they don't feel like moving around all over the place. Then it can change on the player's part. Right now, the player is a player who wanted to stay in Pittsburgh. But from the team standpoint, my belief is that they would not pursue this for the very same reason that they didn't pursue it at all over the span of 6 months. Dubas made up his mind. He made up his mind last September the way this was going to go. The only way his mind was going to change, and now this is not inside info, this is stuff that he said out loud, was if the team had really shown him something. If the team had really come together the way everyone had hoped, if the team had shown, hey, here we go, let's win another one for Sid or win one for Erik Karlsson or whatever. And if they had really just gotten their act together and performed consistently, then he was going to be left in a spot where he couldn't do anything about Jake. But now that figurative ship has sailed. And what's left behind is, well, you already made the really, really, really dark move. Might as well go ahead and make some others. And that's one of the funny things about this whole situation. I was talking in Boston with a team official and shared with them some of the feedback that I've gotten, whether it's through this program, through my columns, whatever. And I relayed a sense that I had that as disappointed as people were in the Jake trade, they seemed that much more disappointed the following day when there really wasn't much more to it. Your number 6 defenseman and your number 3 goaltender were sent packing. That was it, Chad Ruhwedel and Magnus Hellberg. And I think everyone, without speaking for anybody here, but just sharing my thoughts on it, would have been happier seeing, Riley Smith, Rickard Rakell, and then more picks and more prospects. So now, instead of looking at just the Jake trade, which was bad, you could look at it cumulatively and say, well, look, this team wasn't going anywhere, but we added X number of prospects, X number of draft picks, and now at least as fans, we can have fun getting to follow these kids and having a system for the first time in more than a dozen years. And even that was taken away from people. And instead, they tune in and watch this crap hockey we've been watching for a week now. Tough place to be as a follower of this franchise. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins, and we will have another one from here in Ottawa tomorrow. By the way, the Penguins are playing the Senators here, which is why I'm here, at Canadian Tire Center at 7:08 p.m.